What's up, dads? Your boy Big Dave back with another episode of Culture, Dad's Age of Sword and Cassette. What is up, Mike?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Dave. We were yakking before the show. I was saying I've been pretty tired recently because I've been staying up late and into the wee hours of the morning, just working on Imperium stuff. It's like it's a never-ending fight. It will never end. But yeah, I've been hammering it. We've got some very, very long-term projects that requiring a lot of effort that are going to come to fruition pretty soon. So it's nice to see that coming together, and at the same time trying to maintain the release schedule pace, not have like a month go by with no books or something like that. So yeah, it's been a bit of an uphill fight, but I'm getting through it, and it's pretty cool. And I have cleared at least one very important project that I was talking to you about before. That's it's nice to get that out of the way, because now or very soon anyway, I'll be able to dive into Bizarchives 5. It's just been sitting on my desk, tantalizing. I've just been looking at it and drooling and being like, can't wait to get into that bad boy. Yeah. So that's going to happen very soon, probably in about a week or so. So that'll be great. But yeah, Growth of the Soil is out. It's this is one of my favorites, actually. It's interesting because I've been aware of Knut Hamsun for quite a long time. He's quite a important author as far as modernist literature is concerned. His book called Hunger was really sort of like one of the first, maybe the first modernist novels. And it sort of made a splash and made him a bit of a household name back in the late 19th century. And then over a period of time, as any artist does, his style evolved and changed a little bit. And then he eventually wrote this book, Growth of the Soil, which is very much about stuff that's near and dear to us, in our thing. And, agrarianism, ruralism, being close to the soil, and homesteading. And it's an amazing book. It was actually the first one I read by him. It's a long book. I mean, it's our edition is 400 pages, and it's, I plowed through it when I first read it. It's pretty long, but it was a page turner, so I smashed this thing out in a week or something like that. And it's now one of my favorite books. So it's really nice to have a copy of that out. So yeah, very cool. It's pretty cool. And one of the interesting things about it is that it's all about it's basically about building a family, building a legacy, building a community. And this is what we're basically here to talk about today. So you have been recently to the Folkish Summer Hallowing, and I figured that it would be nice to talk about this a little bit, and just sort of not necessarily to plug the event itself, but just to talk a little bit about the importance of this kind of stuff, what was going on there in the broader project of folk building and everything like that, and why this stuff matters to us in our little scene, matters to us as a wider folk, matters to us as nations and everything like that. Figured we could talk a little bit about community, and it would be a good time to do it because you've been recently out and doing that. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're up to?
So when we talk about folk building, right? I've done multiple videos about this. I've done practical videos on how to do it. It's something that I'm actually sort of good at. Big Dave ain't bad at doing some folk building some community and networking down here on the ground, and building these types of things, building these relationships. When we talk about modernity, right? When we talk about modernity, probably the worst parts of modernity are how it isolates us. The goal of capitalism and the goal of modernity, or whether you want to talk about, modernity proper, or our current age of anarcho-tyranny, hyper-modernity, whatever, all of the above. The goal is to atomize the individual as far as possible, turn them into an economic unit that has no tie to any sort of region or anything, that just floats about from job to job, to place, with no regional identity, and everybody is a one-size-fits-all economic unit for the grand machine. That is the goal of it. And pretty much what this is the erasure of our humanity. This is the rape of the human soul, the rape of the human experience. This is exactly what it's trying to do, because to be human is to be inefficient. To be human is to be pre-rational. To be human is to be instinctual. To be human is to share a bond with a region and other people, and to do things that aren't necessarily good for making the big line go up, right? Sharing your life experiences with others, having children, being together, taking care of others, friendships, falling in love, all of the above. All of the above are parts of the human experience that are crucial to having a fulfilling life, that the machine has been slowly chipping away at and hates. It is completely inefficient to the machine. The machine must remove those things, right? So the absolute greatest revolt that you can do is to, in real life, go build a community, is to folk build, is to join one, is to exist within a hierarchy, within a culture, to rediscover a regional culture and to fall in love with it. These are the things that the machine does not want, right? I'm from Pennsylvania. I fucking love my identity. I'm an old blood Yankee. We've been here for centuries. Unfortunately, I don't speak Pennsylvania Dutch anymore, but I know a few words. I love the language. I listen to polka music, which is Dutch style music. I know how to make the food. I am a Pennsylvania Dutchman. Right. I am a Pennsylvania Dutchman. And while I'm very proud of some of my other heritage, like I also have some Italian admixture, and I'm very, very proud of that. And I love that. And I love my Italian family. And I'm still, you come meet me. Well, we're going to eat some olives, and we're going to have some pasta. And it's in there. But at the end of the day, patrilineally, that's who I am, as a Pennsylvania Dutchman. And for me to be to like embrace that is like, I could tell you, when people say, oh, well, what are you? I say, I'm Pennsylvania Dutch, and people around me will be like, they'll be a little bit taken aback that I'm that intensely passionate about my regional identity. Even people that are from here, because they've been so conditioned to be nothing, right? To be a nothing. So at the end of the day, the biggest revolt that you can do is to just be human in your community, to have a community that is anti-fragile, that is sworn to one another, and to have hierarchy, and to have people in the hierarchy that revere the hierarchy. These are things that this completely just like spits on everything that the wicked machine is trying to do to us. So that's the importance of it. Now, I've been yammering. Mike, did you want to hop in?
Sure, yeah. Like, it's the community is obviously a hugely important part to being a human being. It is, we have this like liberal individualist social ontology, where basically the idea is that the abstract person, individual, sort of shorn of context, comes first, like metaphysically, and like the society is just built up around that. And that's exactly backwards. That's exactly the wrong way around. The community comes first, and like, even just historically, the community is there before the person's born into it. So obviously there's a bit of a there's a bit of a problem there. And for us to actually, our ideology now basically puts it that way around, where the individual comes first, And this is the source of a lot of problems. And it's interesting because the social psychologist Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, he has done a lot of good work in this area. Basically, one of the things that he's come up with is the idea of moral foundations, which is that it's this sort of like five. What would you call it? It's like a 5-dimensional map of how people like value things and their sort of moral compass. And the 5 dimensions are, well, there's basically 2 individualist dimensions and there's 3 collectivist dimensions. The 2 individualist are care. So, it's basically about like caring for individuals and, being nice to people, basically. And another one of the foundations is fairness. So this would be like, treating people with respect and, what they say in Australia, this is like a watchword for like what Australia is all about now, is the fair go, right? If you get a fair go, then, that means that everyone's equal, basically. So those are the 2 individualist foundations, care and fairness. And then we have the collectivist or more collectivist foundations. The first one is loyalty, which is obviously just inherently, it's being part of a group or at least, in a relationship. There is authority, which again is a kind of relationship. It's a relationship of command, basically. And then there's sanctity, which is the last moral foundation. And the sanctity is tied up with the idea of shame culture, which we could talk about, perhaps later on, that also is intimately tied to community. Basically, sanctity is whether something is wrong just by virtue of existing, right? It's like something that if it disgusts you, it's like kind of the opposite of sanctity kind of thing. And this has a social dimension as well, although it's not quite as obvious as the other 2. So anyway, the idea of this moral foundation theory is that liberals basically have, they only really recognize care and fairness. They don't give a shit about loyalty. They don't care about authority. They hate authority, and they don't even understand sanctity. It's just something that's like totally doesn't compute for them. So they don't care about these collectivist moral foundations. They only care about the individualist ones. And whereas conservatives, on the other hand, care about all 5. It's not like they only care about the collective ones. They care about, fairness and care as well, but they also care about the other 3. So the idea is that conservatives have a much broader moral foundation than liberals do. And it is the lack of these moral foundations in stuff like loyalty and authority and sanctity that has basically given us the modern age. We live in a world where loyalty it's just loyalty to yourself, basically, and where authority is like every man is his own king. Everybody makes his own decisions. The force of conscience is absolutely sovereign, and where sanctity basically doesn't exist. It sounds quaint for us to even call something like having sanctity. So this is the world we live in. We basically live in a world of individualism, a world without community, where these values are laughed at and sometimes actively scorned. So, building community is really important because it fosters these things that we've lost, which will, if you don't like the way the world is going now, it's because we've lost these things. So, even liberals, and this is, part of why we are winning now, even liberals understand that something is wrong. They understand that like the world can't keep going in the way that it's going, even if they believe that the problem is that we still have too much of these values like authority and stuff, or religiosity. Even if they believe that that's the problem, they realize that something has to change. So we kind of, on our side of the fence, this is really good for us because we can force the conversation basically of like, what is wrong? Clearly something is wrong. This was like back in like 2005. It was really easy for people to just kind of like live a zombie life of like, everything is fine. after 9/11, I guess, 2005, that'd be just a couple of years after that. So, even then there was cracks in the edifice, but, much further back than that, the end of history, everything seemed to be ticking along pretty good. Doesn't look like it anymore. And it's, this is our time to be able to basically, force this conversation. So, folk building is an important part of what is going to basically force a change going forward, I think, because really, because things are getting so bad that even liberals can't deny it anymore. Because things are getting so bad, you're going to need that community. You're going to need people to lean on. So, yeah, doing the things that Dave is talking about building community and everything like that, it's something that we need to learn. It's something that has been lost, that has been purposefully erased, and it's something that we need to cultivate again. And we're going to have to do that consciously. Whereas in the past, people just sort of did it because that's what you do. Now you're going to have to do it consciously. And the people who do are going to be the ones that come out on top, basically.
Yeah. An example for this is something, all of us have brought up many, many times, is the clutching pearls over the nuclear family, right? Oh, we have to protect the nuclear family, et cetera, et cetera. The nuclear family is already a stripped down, reduced version of what was previously traditional. Nuclear family is not traditional. Nuclear family is the nucleus of the family. It's only part of the family, right? And the traditional way of family living was having a family estate with cousins and uncles and aunts and grandpas and grandmas to have the whole big family. And let me tell you that if you even want to say you want to buy a property doing that, the laws do not allow you to do that in some places. They say, oh, well, you can't put everybody's income on this. You can't have this many names on the deed. You can't have this many people living there. In some places, like you're not allowed to have this many bathrooms on this property. Well, the property's 150 acres. Oh, it doesn't matter. You're only allowed to have a maximum of 2 bathrooms on this property as a whole. There's laws like that. Yeah. So it's like it's been against the family estate, the clan, for so long that even the laws make it difficult to do that. Because you got to think about it. Think about it like this: you and your 2 brothers and your sister and their families and mom and dad and everybody go in like, oh, we're all going to buy this property together. Well, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 incomes going into this property, you could get approved for $1 million property, right? You could get approved for a pretty big freaking property, and then you can afford it. You know what I mean? You can afford the mortgage, you can afford the payments, you can afford everything because you got all of these streams of income. They don't want that. They don't want you buying that. They don't want you doing that. Because then there are less people that are going, because then you got all these people that are living on this property, all the kids and grandkids. If you have 100, 150, 200 acres or whatever, or even more, people could just buy, they just build a house on the property and they live there. And then you have a community and they can't individually tax you. They can't sell more fucking townhouses. They can't do any. This is completely against their racket, right? And let me tell you, coming back, we're going to go right into FSH. So for you guys, and I'll just tell my little story about it because I know there's we got some Christian friends that really like to know about how we are, and they're, they got love for the folk and everything, but because of religious reasons, they're kind of uneasy about coming, but they're interested in hearing about it. So I'll tell you my little story about it and why it's important and why, like, how I was feeling being around this many people for these amount of days. So FSH is the Folkish Summer Hallowing. It is an event that is held by the Ermine folk, who are an organization here in the East Coast United States that cover mostly Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, the East Coast, like the Northeast, the mid-Atlantic, right? So that's pretty much their areas, mostly in Pennsylvania, New York State, this kind of area. But, but people come from all over. We had people coming from freaking the Midwest, people that flew in from California. We had a guy that flew in from England. We had, there's people coming in from, not Tom. We had a different guy that flew in from England. So there's people that come from all over the place. But as an organization, they generally focus on that area. So, and they've been together for a long time, and they do a lot of really great stuff. So what was really, really a milestone about this event this year was two things. One, we were going to fly in Tom Rousel, Survive the Jive, which didn't work out because the vampires and the feds or whoever the hell was behind it blocked it. Right? They didn't want this like soft-spoken, nice British gentleman to fly into rural Pennsylvania to hang out with a bunch of just regular folk. You know what I mean? Like that terrified them so much they had to block it for some reason. But the other milestone was that the leader of the Yerman folk, Mike, built an effigy, a replica effigy of the thunder god Thor. Right? He built a Thor effigy, and it is the biggest one made in 1,000 years. It is a big guy. I saw it. It's almost human sized. And I believe it's 4.5 feet tall or 5 feet tall. It's big. Wow. It's a big idol, right? And he gilded it in gold. So it was like this big gold effigy. It's like nothing like this has been made in 1,000 years. This is a huge milestone in the growth of our faith. To have an effigy built like this, it cost thousands of dollars. It took him hundreds and hundreds of hours to build it and create it, but it's there, and it's like a freaking artifact. It's incredible. But anyway, these were pretty big. This is a pretty big milestone event, and because of these milestones, we had a big turnout. It was the biggest FSH so far, and to my knowledge, it is the biggest heathen event in the New World that I have heard of. I have not heard of a bigger one. At least a multi-day festival type thing. I've never heard of a bigger one. So I go, right? We go there. It's freaking chaos getting ready because I'm not in the Herman folk. I'm not on the board, but I help out, right? I'm a helper. So I was going to do. I was in charge of the Tom Rousel interview. I did a few other things. I'm involved with it. Plus, I got to look out for my kindred, my family, and when I get there, there's a lot of folks that listen to Culture Dads and like the Bog, and follow me generally, and they want to. There were some folks that drove. We had a young couple, very young. They were like in their early 20s, college kids, that drove all the way from Missouri to come like meet me. You know what I mean? So it was like. There's people that drove some really, really far to come shake my hand and talk to me. And for the event too, it wasn't just for me, but it's for the event too. But they, it was on their list to talk to me. So I got to set some time aside to get to know these people and shake their hands and learn their names and talk to them and stuff like that. So it's chaos. I get pulled all these different directions. It's pretty wild. So we get there. It's 4 days. First night we do heathen karaoke, it's so much fun. Everybody gets all goofy drunk and sing songs. There's a lot of people singing Manowar and Black Sabbath and Dio songs and country songs. And it's the type of karaoke you want to go to, right? It's a lot of fun. So we do that, and then the second day is all kind of different events and activities. They have mead making and sausage making and sauerkraut making and rune shops and freaking coin pressing and I don't even know. There's just like tons of activities and events and stuff for the kids. They do a stomp rockets. They do a hammer toss, right? But the hammer toss, let me tell you, they do a children's hammer toss. They also do archery, but they do a children's hammer toss. Every year, at least one of our kids wins their division. Our first year in my clan, our kids won every single age bracket. We completely dominated. Last year, we won 2, and then this year, my oldest son, he was like taking a nap and wouldn't get his ass up. So my oldest son is a monster, right? He's 8. He looks like he's 12. He's huge. So he just like crushes anything that's like he has an age bracket and it relies on strength or something like that. He's just, you can just tell when my son walks up, you can see the other kids, they just get dread on their faces because they know that this This monstrous kid is coming.
Fucking behemoth is just like lumbering forth.
This behemoth is lumbering forth to come claim victory from their clutches. Yeah. But anyway, he didn't go. My kinsman, his daughter is in that age bracket now. She got older. She's up in the next age bracket. Her age bracket, we got a taste of our own medicine. This little girl who is in that age bracket, who was like, I don't know. One of her dads must have been like a tree ant or something. Her dad must have been a tree ant. This girl was like 5 feet tall. She's like 7 years old. She's like 5 feet tall. She's got these long arms, and she just like had this reach, and she just took the hammer and she just like whirled it around and he's like cast it into the sun. And it was like no other kid could compete. But my middle son, who's compared to my other kids, he's the middle kid. He's got middle son syndrome, right? He's not the baby and he's not the big guy. So he's got this complex. He's always
not sure where he fits, right?
Not sure where he fits. He's always trying to stack a W, right? He crushed his age bracket, right? Because he's 6 now. So he's actually standing next to his brother. Everyone's like, oh, he's the little guy. He's a peanut. In actuality, if you see him next to his kids his own age, he's huge. He's a big kid. So he crushed it, right? And at the event, they give out these big giant chocolate hammers, and you should have seen this kid. This my poor middle son who never gets the big W, who like is always he's like always wants to get recognized. You know what I mean? He got the chocolate, right? He won it, and he was so pumped. He keeps talking to me. He's like, Daddy, they clapped for me. Dad, they clapped for me. And let me tell you, this was really special. This was really wonderful. So fast forward, we go to bloat, right? We go to bloat. And for you guys that aren't familiar with this word, bloat is our word for ritual. It's one of our main rituals. It's our biggest, highest, holiest type of ritual. And it is during this event, this bloat, we did what was called a Smyrna rite. Smyrna is a ritual which is like, it's found in all other Indo-European religions, but it's to bring an idol to life, to call upon the deity and get him to embody. I don't know what the right word would be for it. To animate the statue, right? To get into it, and it's a pretty incredible rite, right? The Gothi mixes like this herbs and smears it on the thing and says a bunch of prayers, and they're singing, and it's a really beautiful, beautiful ritual. And we did that, and let me tell you, this was the biggest bloat I've ever been. I think there was 100 people at this bloat. It was absolutely massive, right? And it starts out, we line up, and we do this slow procession thing, right? Because there's different elements. Everybody's quiet, everybody's solemn. And let me tell you, this year, you had so many people that were wearing, they took it seriously, right? They came dressed, ancestral garb. Some folks were just wearing modern dress clothes or whatever, but people were very sincere. People were quiet during the procession, and we lined. It was just magnificent. And this was the shining part of the event. I could not believe this. And let me tell you guys, I pray somebody got this on footage. There's like this kind of taboo about taking pictures and video during ritual. But I think that maybe we should start, because these types of things are happening, and somebody needs to record it. Tons of people can verify this. There's like 100 people that saw this. So this isn't just a story. So I got to tell you guys, during the bloat, right? As Mike, who's leading the ritual, was saying the prayers and reading and doing the rite, right? Underneath the effigy, the big gold effigy, there's this huge candle that's lighting. It's completely still. Right? It's still night, no wind, nothing. This gust of wind happens, like as he's declaring, I bring you to life type stuff. A gust of wind comes out of nowhere. The candle goes out, and this like 12-foot tall cyclone of embers appears, like manifests around the fire. Like this, it looked unreal. It's almost like you're like looking at it. Like I was looking at my daughter and I just got this weird feeling. I looked over and I saw it. I couldn't believe it. It looked almost like movie effects or something. I was like, did they throw something into the fire? My wife said that the same thing. She's like, her first thoughts were, this is not natural. This isn't, how, first of all, the wind wasn't strong enough to just like form a cyclone. And it was just, I don't know. It was a cyclone of glowing embers. It looked like a Disney movie effect or something, right? It was just like magnificent to behold. And it was huge too. It was like 12 feet tall. So this huge cyclone around the fire, and then it just dissipates and the embers slowly just fall down. And I'm like, the whole place just like got quiet. I like looked around, everybody's eyes are popping out of their heads, right? It was really, this was like a miracle. This was a supernatural spiritual experience that we all shared together. Like the gods came down and answered, right? This was real. This was really a I don't even know the words, paranormal, metaphysical, whatever, but the divine were there. We saw it. It was incredible. And it was just so, I was like, I couldn't, like, I was, after this, I was like fucking shaking. I was like having trouble breathing. I was like that weird, not weirded out, but I was that like worked up about it. Like I was trying not to get teary eyed. Like it was like crazy, dude. There were people there. After that happened, after the bloat kind of shut down, there were people there that I talked to. Like this was their first event. They were kind of They weren't, I don't want to call them skeptics, but they were, I don't know what I believe, but I'm here checking it out and blah, blah, blah. And I want to see what you guys do. Just like regular people that are just seeking a little bit. Like after that, on their knees before the effigy crying. Like this is how profound this was. We have a guy, my kinsman's little brother, who's like your typical fedora, Zoomer nihilist, materialist, I fucking love science kind of guy, right? That everything is explained. He's just like impossible to talk to. He was there. He comes with because he likes the event and he likes having fun with everybody. So he comes and he's my kinsman's little brother. So he saw it, and even he admitted, he's like, that was an undeniable like supernatural religious experience that we had. Even he said this, right? So this was like, I'm sorry, I'm yakking on and on and on. I just cannot emphasize how powerful this was. So going back to my son real quick. My son, who is, he's the middle child. My middle son is a hustler. He is not a share kind of guy, right? They never are. I'm always catching him like weaseling his little sister out of snacks, weaseling his big brother out of this. He's always trying to maximize his profit, right? He never shares anything. To him, sharing is like a complete defeat. He hates
it's like losing,
Yeah. When we go up, he said, Dad, because my middle son especially, Thor is his guy. Right. Yeah. He understands that he's 6, so he doesn't understand things like on an advanced level. He understands that Thor kills monsters, right? He protects mankind and he kills monsters. That's how he understands it. So that's his dude, right? He when we walked up, he had this big thing of chocolate, which, I was like, why is he carrying? He like carried it. Like, I didn't even know he had it. He carried this big ass thing of chocolate, and he goes, Dad, I want to give Thor half of my chocolate. So during the ritual, we walk around or he said, I want to give him a piece of my chocolate. Right. So we walk around and we had to sneak around Mike builds like this giant, beautiful long ship to burn. So everybody puts their sacrifices in there. We walk around and he takes out his chocolate. He breaks off half of it, like half of the chocolate, splits it in half. I've never seen him do this before. And he put it in the ship and he like did a little prayer thing. And he said, okay, let's go. And we left. So it's like, even my son was like, because he believes that Thor came down and like gave him the strength to win the event. Yeah. My 6-year-old like cooked that up in his head. Like he believes that. So he wanted to make this offering to thank him for help. So there's like religiosity and belief everywhere. So anyway, I've been yakking, but I'm going to finish it out by saying FSH was a magnificent, beautiful event. And because of the religiosity, because of the togetherness, because of the folk building and everything, let me tell you guys, let me point out what kind of event this was, right? First of all, leaving is like you leave a piece of yourself behind. It is so sad to leave because like you give hugs, you can't stop saying goodbye. You just don't want it to end because these are your people. You know what I mean? These are, you just like, you build friendships there that are just forever, that are forever and ever. And this is the type of event it was. Let me tell you guys. So under the effigy, there was an offering bowl, right? You know, I put like $60 in it. Like people are putting hundreds of dollars in this thing. Like, you know, people are stacking. This thing got filled with money. It was absolutely filled with money. During one of the days, it blew over and the money like blew everywhere, right? Well, Mike was keeping count of all of the money, right? So he goes there and he finds the bowl. He heard that it got knocked over or whatever, and he goes to fix it, right? And the bowl's upright, the money's all in it, and not a dime was missing. Nothing was missing. Somebody, that bowl full of hundreds of dollars, not only did it sit there unmolested for 4 days and nobody took a single dime, it knocked over. Somebody painstakingly chased every single bill all over the place and put it back. Not a single dollar was missing. This was how high trust, and this is how much belief and how much togetherness and how much loyalty and everything was at this event, for real. And I think that the only way you can get that is with heathenry. I don't think that victory is possible until the folk come home in droves to heathenry and put all of their energy into it and kneel before the gods and ask them and beg for them to come fight on our side. Until that happens, there will be no victory. And until that happens, we do not deserve victory.
Hell yeah. For sure, bro. That's like what you just described there. I mean, at the very least, victory is going to be it's going to be achieved by way of the extended family, by way of the clan. Individuals, heroic individuals doing it themselves is not going to do it. The nuclear family is not going to do it. And, you know, of course, the nuclear family is important, but there's something that we've lost over a long, long period of time, and it has been a long time. And that is the extended family, at least in the Northwestern European societies. Now, there's this thing called the Hajnal line, which people might have heard about, that basically divides European society into what amounts to essentially the nuclear family and the extended family. There's more to it than that, of course, but even on the other side of the Hajnal line, mostly in Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, and parts of Ireland, where there is the extended family, that is going away. That is being erased as we speak by the forces of modernity. So nowhere, you know, is safe. But it's going to take something like this in order to fix the problem. And I agree. I think that heathenry, or at least a tribal religion of some kind, it has to be the answer. Like tribalism is just the way that things are going to be turned around, right? And it's important, I think, to understand how tribal faith is a little bit different than other faiths. I would say the main difference is that tribal faith is something that is not propositional. Now, by propositional, essentially what I mean is that a propositional identity is an identity that is based on one's belief. So if you believe that, you know, we believe these truths, we hold these truths to be self-evident, if holding a statement as true makes you a whateverist, then that is a propositional identity, right? It's based on belief. Whereas tribal faiths are a little bit different in that it's not so much a community of belief. Although the community does share beliefs, you know, that each one of those people, or at least the majority of the people at Folkish Summer Hallowing, believe in the Eddic lore. They believe that the gods are real. They believe, you know, in the existence of Thor and so on and so forth. But it's not those beliefs that make the community. It's something prior to that. It's something deeper than that. It's something more pragmatic than that. It's an orthopraxy, which is a kind of, you know, 25-cent word to mean a community of practice, basically. It's just people who get together to do things. The doing of things together is what makes the community, and not so much the belief. It's the belief grows out of the doing, not the other way around for heathenry, for at least folkish heathenry, the real stuff, like the bona fide heathenry of old. It is the praxis. It's the doing. It's the undertaking of the ritual that comes first, and the belief grows out of all of that. And ultimately, another important difference, and perhaps the most fundamental difference about tribal faiths, is that there is a 1-to-1 ratio between the community of worship and the family, the blood family, right? This is an absolutely critical part of these tribal faiths, right? And this is, you know, again, goes to the non-propositionality aspect of it. It's like just believing in Thor, or, you know, believing in Wolaspa, or anything like that. I mean, that is important, but it's not enough, right? There's something else required. And it's that something else that is kind of at the root of all of these things. The faith community is a familial community. It's a family community. It's an extended family, right? And, you know, going back even, you know, all the way back to the Indo-European times and beyond that, this goes beyond Indo-European times, well beyond it, is that the church was in the home, right? The locus of religious life was not in the church. It was in the home itself, gathering around the family hearth. It's what we call the hearth cult. This is like basically for these tribal faiths, family and faith and folk are not separable things. They're one thing. So you can't put one thing above the others because they're all basically one thing. And it's this all grows into the clan. It grows into the extended family. And actually, it was good that Dave sketched out the nuclear family as non-traditional, basically as already a departure from the traditional family structure. That's very, very true. And we have to understand this. It's absolutely imperative to understand this, to understand what a healthy society looks like. The nuclear family is not new. This is something that has been imposed on us, or it's a change that has happened from this like healthy, primitive extended family. But it happened some centuries ago, right? It's been a process, and it's something that needs to be undone. Basically, it's the nuclear family. I mean, there's a lot of origins that sort of like flowed into this stream, but one of them was manorialism, which is basically it's essentially a form of property ownership. Grows out of late antiquity. So basically, in Roman times, or like early feudal times, you had these like large landed estates. In Rome, they were called latifundia. They were owned by heads of households that were and it was basically sacral property, but they would have like servants and slaves and things like that working these gigantic family farms. And for reasons that I've actually detailed on my Substack, essentially what they had to do was to take the family property, which was a sacral property. It was something that was owned by the family in trust to the ancestors because it was there for like the discharge of sacred duties. They essentially had to sort of portion it out to people in order to keep these farms going at the scale that they were going at. And this gives rise to a form of property ownership called, the technical term is emphyteusis, but basically what it is that somebody who doesn't actually have a title to the property is considered to have a kind of like a share in it because of like long usage, basically. And so the sort of long and short of it is that peasants eventually started to manage their own farms, and they would pay rent to the landlord. And it was more efficient for these landlords, for the lord to superintend smaller families than one big family, right? Because of division of labor. You get like one family like doing wheat, another one doing corn, another one doing this and that, and so on and so forth, right? So it's like division of labor. So families became smaller over time. The village commune no longer made sense. That this extended family of worship, this extended family of people like third, fourth cousins and so on and so forth. It didn't really make a lot of sense. And also another reason why this came about was that the old patrilineal patterns of kinship were very, very good tools for the peasants to basically revolt against their lords. And of course, there was in the interest of these lords to weaken these patrilineal patterns of kinship, and there were like theological streams that were kind of like flowing into this as well, to severely reduce the size of families by doing away with what this scholar called Jack Goody has called strategies of heirship, which basically comes down to this patrilineality, cousin marriage, all these things that are now kind of taboo, like divorce, cousin marriage, that were actually traditional, that were there basically to ensure the perpetuation of the kinship of the clan and things like that. So anyway, these were kind of done away with, and families were devolved down to a much, basically the smallest possible unit, right? And this is where we get the rise of the nuclear family. And this is kind of a landmark on the way to liberalism. It's like a halfway house toward individualism, basically like atomic individualism. It's not, for no reason that we call it the nuclear family, right? Because it's a division, it's a subdivision of a subdivision of a subdivision. So anyway, with what Dave was describing here at Folkish Summer Hallowing, this is the opposite. This is exactly the opposite of that devolution down to a more local level, to a more atomized level. And it's really this reversal that needs to happen. I mean, like we talk about political praxis, how is things going to turn around? How are we going to undo all of the nasty stuff that is characteristic of modernity? Well, really, that's it, right? Like that is the solution in a nutshell. And Dave and I have talked about this in several places. We actually even did a whole Imperium Cast episode back when we were doing that one on the clan, and we talked a lot about the political praxis elements of the clan. Really, this is the reversal of this process is what needs to happen in order for us to win. And people say, oh, well, you can't, how are you going to do that? Because, we've had the nuclear family for so long. Dude, like even at the absolute most, saying that it's been around for 1,000 years, probably less than that. But even if it's been around for 1,000 years, people have been around for a lot longer than that. Like, it take the scientific estimate of like human, like behaviorally or anatomically modern humans is like we've had the extended family for 200 times longer than that. You know what I mean? Than the absolute longest estimate of the nuclear family. So if it can be done, it can be undone. And it's the people who get a start on it now, the people who are doing what the Ermine folk are doing now, who are going to be the seeds planted on a new continent. They're going to be the ones to rise from the ashes after things go south. this is like, it's people who are doing this now that are going to be the ones who are the patriarchs, who are the ancestors of the people who win in a century or several centuries from now. So it's absolutely imperative that we rebuild this clan system. It can be done. We had like Highland Scottish clans like 200 years ago. This is not something that's like an ancient history, anything like that. It can be done. Even in the ancient world, it was, new clans came around all the time. It wasn't like this had to be something there from time immemorial. So anyway, without going on a big tirade about that, what the Ermine folk are doing, what's happening in Folkish Summer Hallowing, is the way forward. It is the only way to win. And, not to make this like a religious, selling a religion or proselytization or anything like that. If Christians want to win, they're going to have to find a way to do this themselves as well. It's really tribalism, the extended family, the faith, family, and folk as one thing, a corporative unit that is going to win. So I am thrilled to see that this is going on, and it's too bad Tom couldn't make it to Folkish Summer Hallowing, but the thing went forward, and it sounds like it was a raging success. So congratulations to Ermine folk. Congratulations to you, Dave. It's awesome that this is happening. It's a real white pill for our scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I kind of wanted to take a step into how to do this practically, because we pretty much spent the whole hour here describing why it's good, and a lot of the the culture dads out there will already know. Like we've outlined this many times, and we're going to outline it many more times because of how important it is. But to kind of take it out of a moral argument, I guess you could say, just tell it saying why it's good, we should talk about how to do it. You know what I mean? Because I think that there's too many platforms, too many people that will hold something up. This is good. This is bad. Okay, well, how do we do the good thing? Because at the end of the day, doing the good thing is what you have to do for the good thing to actually happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to retrace my thoughts. I did a video. A lot of people really liked it, by the way. It was like how to folk build or something like that. It was just one that I shot in my car. So if you want to folk build, right? If you want to build a clan, if you want to do what we're talking about, obviously at the core you should start with like religiosity, right? A reason for why you're getting together. I understand that this is, you could argue that this is a proposition, but people understand propositions now, right? It's kind of hard to just like go up to some people and say, oh, well, this is what we're supposed to do because it's commanded to us. You can employ that. You can employ that later after everybody's together and the loyalty is built. Until then, you do have to appeal to, I guess you could say, proposition. I don't know, whatever.
It's like training wheels that you have to put on, right?
Exactly.
You can take them off later, but it's the thing that's going to get you there, at least for now.
Exactly. So religiosity is a big thing. I don't advocate for people to get together based on political beliefs, because I just, at this point in my life, especially after FSH, I just wipe my ass with political beliefs. Do I have political beliefs? Yes, I do. But my political beliefs are downstream from my faith and my folk identity and stuff like that. Those things inform my political beliefs. And I'll tell you right now, I have no loyalty to these abstractions. If you told me tomorrow that communism or Marxism would be the best system or the best ideology to move my folk forward, I would raise a hammer and sickle flag. I do not give a shit about any of these politics. I'll be frank, I don't give a fuck about any of the people that were, I like some of them. I think some of them were very smart. I think some of them left behind some good ideas, XYZ, but these like non-heathen, I'm getting a little too spicy. I'm trying. I don't give a fuck about any of it. I'll be honest with you. A lot of these got these like political figures in history, to me, are themselves abstractions to me at this point. They weren't even like, they're like what happened, or like, I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. Yeah, I'm probably pissing some people off. But so I just advocate against a political identity because it is fleeting. It changes. We don't even know, like, every like few months, it feels like we're kind of like redefining and figuring out how we understand these political terms and X, Y, religion is unchanging. The cores of religion are unchanging. They are immortal, right? And all politics is trying to describe is you have people that observe tradition and people that observe how can I say it? You have people that are on the side of the good, on the side of order, and on the side of natural law, and you have people that want to oppose it. That is pretty much all that politics is trying to explain. And those definitions are always changing because we as modern people do not natively understand these kind of, I had a talk at FSH about this because we had a few guys that were doing these like academic kind of demonstrations. And there were a few people there that were like, this is going all over my head, man. I'm not a book person. I'm a freaking, I'm a welder. I'm whatever. And they're trying to take notes and trying to understand. They're asking lots of questions. They're like, man, I feel so dumb. It's like, dude, don't feel dumb. Don't feel dumb. Here's the bottom line is none of us natively understand a truly folkish worldview. We are all natively liberal. We are all natively, and we have to really, really work to like get that out of our heads.
Dude,
right?
I am at the moment, like with my Substack, the project that's organically come to pass is that I'm trying to work out a folkish worldview, and it's taking me in some real radical directions and into some things that I never would have thought. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We all are natively liberal, and we need to overcome that, and it's hard. It's hard for anybody.
Exactly. So what I told these guys, these people there, I was like, do your best to power through. Chew on it as much as you can. Don't be afraid to ask dumb questions and try to understand these things. You're going to come to ideas that trigger you and feel completely alien and weird because what you are natively is alien and weird. This is the way back to who we truly are, right? You've got to break the programming, right? That's what you got to do. And you just got to chew on it and work on it and figure it out. And then our children will natively understand it. You're doing this for your children is what we're doing. Because once they grow up and they natively understand it, they're going to look at modernity. They're going to look at all this stuff and they're going to be like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's over. That's the goal. That's the goal. So folk building, I highly, I'm not trying to upset. Dude, there's so many Christians out there that are my dear friends and everything like that. So I'm just speaking from who and what I am. You do things I'm not coming at you, but in my heart of hearts, I truly do believe, and I think everybody would expect me to believe this, that the folk should organize around either heathenry or some other branch of Indo-European religion, right? This is what you should organize around. It's immortal. It's unchanging. It is who we are. It is what we are. It's what our people believe for many, many thousands of years. It's what you should organize around. Then from there, what you should do is you should throw parties, right? What does Havamal teach? Dude, the guy that's not a good host doesn't have many friends. You gotta have good parties. You know what I mean? Have dope parties and make it about just like getting together and enjoying each other's company. And Havamal says to a true friends blend their minds together, right? You sit down and you can have a conversation, a meaningful conversation. You speak each other's language, right? And I don't mean that literally. You guys just click, right? You want to have a core of guys or people, women, a core of human beings of your folk that you click with, right? And from here builds loyalty. After with time, loyalty builds, right? And as a leader, if you're going to try to be a leader, that doesn't mean, oh, well, I get to tell people what to do now. It means putting in work and being there for people. You know, when through death, through tragedy, through hard times, through everything. If you are there through their hard times, that builds loyalty. And once you have this core of loyal people, right? The kind of people that if they hear somebody talking bad about you when you're not around, they're like, yo, don't talk about him like that. Don't talk about him like that. That's the kind of core you want to have. And from there, you guys can facilitate bigger stuff. Like, and also, dude, throwing a dope party. Good people, if they come to your party and you're serving good food, you got good music playing, there's funny, cool people around. It's just like a good time. People love a good time, man. Breaking bread. Good, the way to somebody's heart is through their stomach. Dude, if you serve some good ass food, you come to one of my gigs, come to one of my things. Dude, I serve salmon, I serve shrimp, I serve steak, I serve burgers, I serve freaking everything. It's not hamburgers. Well, I do burgers. I don't do frozen burgers and hot dogs and like just crap. You know what I mean? I serve good food. I got nice olives out on the table. I got good hors d'oeuvres. I got, you know what I mean? Big Dave parties are happening, right? I got some buddies that pull up. They'll play music. We tell jokes. We give gifts. Like, we're popping, right? We got that good party. Dude, a good party is really the core of bringing people together. Good food, good drink, good times. That's it. You get that going. You get that going regularly. You're going to get so you got your core. And what's going to happen is when you build your core, you guys are going to start creating what I call tribal language, little inside jokes, little things that only you guys understand, things that are references to past experiences, just all this kind of stuff. These are the things that happen that build the core. From there, you get more people coming in, right? You have your core. These people help facilitate to bring more people in. And you got to have one guy that's a strong leader, right? You got to have one guy that's a strong leader. And a lot of times he should have a wife that's of similar quality, right? One guy that's a little bit charismatic. He's funny. He's likable. He's got his head on straight. He's kind of an alpha. He's, you got to have that. And if you aren't, it's okay if you're not that. I've done a lot of stuff about this. I hate that beta male is an insult. Beta male is not an inferior male. The beta male is the number two. Beta is number two. The consigliere in the mafia is a beta, right? Look at The Sopranos. Would you say that Silvio Dante was a beta male? Would you say that, Vito Corleone's second in command? Is the second in command an inferior male? No, sometimes he has talents that the big guy doesn't have. He's an administrator. He's a facilitator. He's got his eyes on everything. He's more observant. He gives advice. He's very wise. This idea that everybody should be an alpha is liberal horseshit. This is why they invented this Sigma shit, right? It's for guys that want to be alpha, that aren't alpha, because they think that everything else is inferior. They've invented this side thing. Dude, Sigma male is horseshit. In the nature, in animal kingdom, the Sigma male is the diseased, problematic male that they kick out of the pack, right? There's something wrong with him. He's eating babies. He's got some sort of sickness. He's got fucking 3 legs or something. He's the guy they don't want him around. He's the problematic, messed up male. Sigma male is horse shit. To be a beta male is a wonderful thing, right? Every alpha needs a squad of betas. And I don't even want to use that word. Every chieftain needs counselors, needs second commands, needs capos, needs this hierarchy. And from the hierarchy of men comes the clan, right? And from here, once you start getting more than 6, 7, 8 people, you got to start codifying how you work, right? Here is I take the title of alderman. I'm alderman. My wife is the matron, and then we have our oathed members, right? And they have different titles. And then beneath them, we have what are called the heathmen, the people of the heath. And the people of the heath are folks that are part of it. But oh geez, my daughter's outside the door. She must have got up. But you're the people of the Heath who are not. They're not oathed in, but they are oathed in, but they're not like blooded members of the clan. They're not on the council, right? They're oathed in. They've been around. They've gone through the novitiate period. They are vetted. They're approved. They're like medium stuff. And then underneath them, we have what are called the friend shaft, who are, people that live too far away to actually be in the clan, or maybe they have too many obligations to actually be part of the clan. And they come they're vetted. They're cool. They're our friends. They come and go whenever they can, but we don't really expect much out of them outside of to just be our friends. Right. So at our top, we have our blooded members. We have our high reed is what we call it. Our high reed are our people. Once you come into the high reed, first of all, after you leave novitiate period, which is 1 year of being vetted, you go into the Heath. You're a member of the Heath, and you could be in the Heath forever. We don't. There's no time period. There's no real ladder. People get hand selected. And we hand select, it could take years. We hand select people based on whether or not we think you're going to be here, whether or not we think that you're going to have a family, whether or not we think that you have potential. Because once you get blooded in, once you are a blooded member of the High Reed, you're not allowed to move. You must stay within like 10 miles of us. You are obligated. If I call you in the middle of the night, you must come. You must come. If I say you are loyal, you are one of the clan, and whatever the clan says goes, and you have to obey, right? But here's the deal: is that I don't abuse that. You know what I mean? I'm not like, yo, give me your money, yo, fucking do this for. I don't do that. You know what I mean?
It's reciprocal though, too, right? Like you have obligations to them to be there when they need you, right?
Exactly. Dude, there's been times I had guys that are like, dude, I'm in some trouble. I need some money. And I give them money and I never ask for it back. There are times that they're like, yo, dude, this happened. I need a ride. I'm there right away. They call me up. Yo, dude, I'm in some trouble with this. Doesn't matter what it is. I come full force. No, with everything that I got. Like, yo, I'm starting this business. Could you, loan me this money to get me started? No problem. Hey, dude, I need some help marketing or promotion. No problem. I just built. I'm getting ready to build my buddy a website for his business. I'm not going to charge him anything. So it is reciprocal. It's not like I'm head honcho and I boss people around and whatever. It's completely reciprocal. So if you put all of these things together, it takes a long time. It takes years. But once you have all of these people together and you have a clan and you have that loyalty, here's the deal with people. If somebody comes, they will observe that this is what's it called, where you go to a place and everybody believes something and you just like instinctively go with it just to fit in. I can't remember what that's called, but when somebody that's kind of seeking and looking and like kind of unsure or whatever, once they come in and they see, wow, everybody believes this. This must be true. It's instinctual. Humans
social
are
proof. That's what it's called, I think.
Social proof?
I think so.
Yeah, once they see social proof, they'll be like, they'll be more open to it. What you can't have when you're folk building is too many people with radically different ideas, too many people that have radically different behaviors. You must practice what I call social hygiene. Everybody must have you. Sometimes I've turned away people just because their personalities didn't click. You're just not like you don't really share a sense of humor. You're kind of from a really radically different kind of family. You're just not really one of us, right? And it's not something that I can put my finger on and tangibly like say this is the reason. It's a vibe, right? You got to have the vibe to be part of us. That vibe is super important. because you generally want people that are compatible. So if you are leading your folk building, you want to ensure social hygiene. You want to turn away people that are you don't want people that are projects, especially when you're forming. You don't want people that have all kinds of drug problems, that have dark triad personality traits, that are compulsive liars, or you don't want bad people. You want to practice social hygiene. And the number one thing you want to see is this person capable of loyalty. Some people are so individualist or so rotten, their brains are so rotted out with that crap, is that they can't be loyal. You have to look at this person. Are they capable of loyalty? If they are capable of loyalty, then that is the biggest, most important trait you're looking for. I hope that was cohesive and I wasn't just rambling.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, it's I mean, I don't have the practical experience on the ground with building clans, with folk building the way that Dave does. So it's really he's the one that's going to be given the practical advice, and I'll just be sort of supporting it here with citations from the past or whatever. I'll be the Flavor Flav to his Chuck D. But it's like absolutely the case that if you like break bread with someone, that this is a community building activity to the degree that one of the most important rituals going all the way back to Indo-European times was the sacred repast, or the sacred feast, right? What families would do on like at regular intervals was they would sit down and they would prepare a feast, and they would set at the table, they would set a place for the ancestors, and they would give food to the ancestors. And there was a communal togetherness that was a union of past and present all together, right? It's like a corporative unit. The family was a single unit, and each person, including the house father, including the sovereign, the paterfamilias, is what he was called in Rome, even the head honcho was just a steward of this whole enterprise, right? That was the family. It was really the ancestors themselves that were the sovereign. And the sacred meal, breaking bread with people, sharing food, making it a ritual observance, and just the unity of the folk together eating was so important that this was amplified and scaled up as time went on, where like the family would eventually grow into the clan into the tribe, and the tribe into the nation. Essentially, they would have like the national state cult, which the state or the nation in ancient times was the city state. But these state cults, the main ritual, the main the main celebration that they would have would be the sacred feast that would involve the entire city. And this was an important part. This is really the core, it's at the core of what it is for like our folkhood, and theologically speaking, what's there sort of, when you strip away all the layers, it's this togetherness and eating together. It seems like something so prosaic. Like when you peel the layers of the onion away and you see what's at the core of it, you expect there to be this like kernel of like just metaphysical abstraction, or like something that is high and deep and inscrutable and unspeakable and beyond words. But really what it is, it's a family. It's something mm-hmm. as down to earth as that. And that is the essential like germ out of which our folkhood grows, right? So eating together is not a trivial thing. I just want to reinforce that. It is a important part of our religious life. So it's not a trivial thing, breaking bread with people. Absolutely. I think that's important to point out.
Being a good cook and having good jokes. That's like telling good stories. Entertainment and good food go so far in doing anything dealing with people. There's going to be people that just show up just to eat your food. Yeah. People love good food. If you're listening to this right now, do you love good food? How many restaurants is there a restaurant that you love that you'll just drive? You'll go, and even if you go, they're closed, and then you'll be back. You don't care that they got weird hours, whatever, because you love food. Human beings love food, and eating food together, and especially good food, is like paramount. Laughter and good food and good stories. These are like, dude, that's money. Dude, read Havamal, dude. Havamal is exactly this. Talk about make sure you have good mead that you made, good food. Make sure you blend minds and have good conversation. And these things are so crucial. You can get by in life, having good social skills. If you're just a funny, cool, likable guy and you make some good chicken off the grill, or you making really delicious mashed potatoes and gravy or whatever. And let me tell you, I know this sounds kind of here's some more practical advice. This is as practical as it gets. The best way, like if you're going to throw a cookout, dude, cookouts are money. Everybody loves food off the grill. Who don't love a cheeseburger off the charcoal grill? That's like you can't beat it, dude. Cheeseburger off the charcoal grill with fresh vegetables. We're talking onions and tomatoes and all that shit. You just can't beat that. You can't beat it. It's comfort food the world over. If you want to throw a party and you want to elevate your spread, here's one thing that I do to keep costs down because it gets expensive. Seafood is expensive. Beef is expensive. What I like to do is I like to have a variety because, number one, it looks good. Dude, people eat with their eyes before they eat. Yep. Having a big, impressive spread is a big deal, right? And one of the things that gives the impression of a nice spread is diversity of proteins. Pork chops are always cheap. Pork chops. And what's even cheaper is if you buy a pork loin and you slice it yourself. You get one of them big, long pork loins, real cheap. Check the manager's specials, like the day before or the day up. Go in the morning where before the manager's special stuff is already, especially if you're going to do it on the weekend. Dude, on a Friday is when they're trying to get rid of all that stuff at the deli. Go to the deli, go to the seafood. I found whole salmons. I bought entire salmons for like $5-6 before. Manager's special on filet mignons, like all this kind of stuff. Buy it all. Chicken, pork, beef, seafood. See if you can get one of each, right? And then cook it all up. Make sure it is the correct doneness, dude. A little bit of salt and pepper goes a long way, as well as doneness. Do not overcook your food, dude. Yep. Let me tell you, if you have a plate and everything is the right temp, it doesn't even matter that it only has a little bit of salt and pepper. That goes so far. People, oh man, this is perfect doneness, so good, it's juicy, et cetera, et cetera. You don't need all kinds of. There's no, you go on, you go like, oh, sous vide and freaking marinade and you could do that stuff, dude. What I do, and my shit slaps. You can ask anybody. Salt and pepper. Maybe I have like this allspice seasoning that I use sometimes on the grill. Temp it. Have a temperature needle or one of them things that you plug it, the battery powered ones. You stab it into the meat and tells you the temp. Memorize all the temps. Or get type it all up, like chicken 165, beef 140, pork 160 or 150 or whatever it is. Whatever the temps are. Have it print it out, laminate it, and have it every time you're grilling. And that way and you want to pull it off like right when it's like 5 degrees under, because everybody's heard this, it continues cooking, the juices continue cooking it. Pull it off, let it rest. A lot of this stuff you're going to want to slice it real thin. That looks really nice. And then also you don't want to leave it up to the people to cut their own meat. because some people they're going to be like, they're going to rip it all up. They're going to be like trying to be fast because there's people waiting in line. Some people might accidentally take too big of a piece and then nobody else gets some. Slice it yourself. Those big salmons, like half a salmon, dude, do your thing. Portion it. Don't cook the whole freaking thing. That's retarded. Portion it. Put them on. Cook the portions. Never overcook salmon, dude. Do not be afraid to serve medium salmon. Medium salmon is how you're supposed to have it. I cooked salmon last night. Medium, perfect, delicious. Salt and pepper is all I did. I made a ginger citrus blanc sauce, but the salmon must be the correct doneness. Salt and pepper goes a long way. These are the kinds of things that will elevate your event. Another thing, decorations, dude. We as men, we don't really think about that kind of stuff. You get the ladies in your crew. Tell them, like, look, I need this place looking nice. Lights, flowers, garlands, whatever. Decorations. Decorate, dude. Decorations make a huge difference. Music. Dude, you got to have music. Why don't you, dude, those Bluetooth speakers out now, they're pretty good these days, and you can get them for cheap. Fire up a Bluetooth speaker and play some tunes that everybody likes. Play some classic rock stuff or whatever. Don't play anything I love extreme metal. I never play extreme metal at the thing because some people just really don't like it. You wanna play something that vibes for everybody. Sometimes I'll put on like some synthwave mixes or something because it gives it's nostalgia vibes. Or I'll put on freaking the best of classic rock from the 70s or whatever. Everybody universally likes those things, and even if they're like, oh well, those things are played out. When they're having a little something to drink, dude, after you're drinking a little bit, dude, let me tell you, even the songs that I've heard, Stairway to Heaven comes on, you sing along with it because it's familiar. Familiarity makes comfort, and comfort makes for a good time. Another thing, dude, have cold drinks. Have a variety of cold drinks, not just alcohol, right? You want cold waters. I like to have sparkling waters. I like to have a few sodas. Dude, I know we're not supposed to be drinking, the goy slop, sugar stuff, but dude, sugar is comforting. You know what I mean?
People like it.
people like things that are sweet. People like things that are salty. Dude, have a nice steak with a cold Coca-Cola or whatever. It's good vibe. It's good. You're not here to give people health advice. That's one thing that my little brother is a fitness freak, and power to him. But when he throws a fucking party, he like makes health food, and dude, I don't want your air fried kale and your plain chicken breast, and I don't want your fucking gluten-free XYZ. I want all of the horse shit that's bad for me. Dude, give me some shit that's going to make that's bad for me. This isn't the time to be doing health food. Health food is for in your private life, your day to day. Serve the comfort food, your macaroni and cheese. Serve and make all your stuff, dude. If it's going to take a few days, it's going to take a few days. Make your potato salad, make your mac salad. Maybe those are just American things. I don't know if people do that elsewhere, but those things are huge. People love those kinds of things. Those summer salads, dude. A nice coleslaw. I make a bomb coleslaw. My wife does too. The coleslaw, this kind of stuff goes a long way. I know it might sound trivial because I'm like spitting out recipes and where to buy food and everything. It's not. To folk build, this is step one. This is step one to folk build, is to have good food, good tunes, good vibes, good drink, and good people. And that's it. That's money.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's there's like you used a word there a little while ago, Freundschaft, friendship, right? This is the core. This is the core of what families grow out of ultimately. I mean, and again, this is a traditional thing, right? Like if you think about the founding of Rome was Romulus and his boys, right? A motley crew of exiles from Alba Longa that founded the civilization that grew into the greatest empire in the history of the world. a bunch of boys, right? There's a sausage fest, right? There's a bunch of guys getting together, and you know, bride kidnapping, basically. But, you know, it's going to start somewhere, right? And that's where it starts. It starts with a bunch of guys as friends, really. And it eventually does grow to a point where, you know, you get some ladies involved. You get like, you know, people are married. There's kids and there's families, and it's like starting to become like a real clan. It's starting to come together and become a thing. You know, maybe 5-10 years down the road, and you're getting like wives involved and things like that. And I'm sure at some stage there's going to be, for any leader, for anybody that is in a position of authority, that's kind of like, you know, and anybody who's going to be building these things, starting from square one, you're either going to be the guy, or you and your friend is going to be the alderman, and you're going to be the conciliary guy or whatever. So you're going to be at the core. Anybody that's doing this right now, you're eventually going to run into problems, right? Like, what happens when you've got people in your clan, like a couple or whatever, and they break up or something like that? How does that work, kind of thing? Like, you're going to get these curveballs. You're going to get these things where you don't know how to deal with them, kind of thing. So, like, Dave, like, what's your experience with that kind of stuff? Like, when it starts to get a little bit beyond the, you know, 5 really good friends level, and it gets a little bit beyond that, what's your experience with dealing with problems?
So what you just mentioned, we had a breakup. So we had a guy, we still have them, a fella and a young lady, and they started to date because they, you know, we spent a lot of time together. They, you know, got together, et cetera, and they started to date. And they were a terrible relationship. They were the worst possible relationship you could imagine. Horrible. And they had a terrible breakup, and it was something, and guess whose lap it fell into? Mine. So I had to figure out how to get these people together, to have them in the same place, and for it not to be a big drama fest. And pretty much what I did was I just kept them kind of separate. I ensured that they didn't sit at the same table together. I ensured that they weren't alone together. I ensured that there wasn't too much drinking when they were in the same space, because who knows? Like, it could go. You see, when people are exes, it goes two ways. If there's drinking involved, either they sneak off together and make more mistakes, and it gets even worse, or they break out into a big fight in front of everybody. You just don't want either of those things. You don't want either of those things. So you just got to keep them separate. You got to make sure there's not too much alcohol involved. And that's just about it. It is a curveball. It's a curveball you got to deal with. And then later on, once they get different, once they, you know, they each get their own boyfriend or girlfriend, a new one, you got to worry about their significant other being jealous.
Yeah.
So you have to get out in front of it. And for example, the young lady, I had to sit down her new boyfriend and say, look, like, I know this guy's here. They had a bad relationship. You've probably heard all kinds of bad things about him. But when you're here, you got to respect him, and you got to keep it down. And because here's another problem is if those two start mouthing off and new guy like tries to get physical, we're gonna jump him, right? You can't just beat up a member of our clan. You can't just like raise your fist to a member of our clan. We'll beat the shit out of you. You know what I mean? You're gonna get jumped by 6-7 dudes. We're gonna fucking swarm you. And also, that's just not good. And then that guy's not allowed to ever come back. And then it's a big fucking ordeal. Yeah. So you have to get out in front of it, and you have to. Guys are a little bit easier to deal with because you could just tell them right to their face. You could just have a bro talk with them. Like, look, this is how this works. Some of what she told you is out of jealousy and hurt. She, you know, an emotion and stuff like that. And not all of that is completely true. And like, you bet, yeah, do you know how women are? You know, she's the wrath of the scorned woman, et cetera, et cetera. He's not a turbo bad guy. They just had a toxic relationship, and you can. I promise you that that guy and her are not going to have any sort of relations ever again. You can trust this community that we're not going to let you get cheated on or betrayed or something like that, right? She would get punished if she did something like that.
Yeah.
So that's never going to happen. And if you want to continue this relationship with her, you're going to have to respect our community and our rules and everything like that. And that's how it's going to be. And, you know, he I know he feels some kind of way. I can see it in his face, right? When the other dude walks in the room or gets a little whatever, but he respects it. He's cool with it. And over time, those things heal, and over time they forget, and they, you know, that's how it is. On the flip side, when a guy brings in a new girl, a new woman, this is much harder to deal with. Women are much harder to deal with because you can't necessarily like have a bro talk with them. They feel the way that they feel, and they never let that go. And sometimes the wiser women will over time get over it, but the ones that are not wiser do not. Women are different than men, right? And some women are very wise and agreeable and easygoing, and once they get to know you and they trust you and they like. Women are very pro-social. Here's the deal with how we are, right? When you start folk building and you build a clan, you effectively become an enclave that exists within society, but is not part of society. You have a worldview. You and your people have a worldview that it runs counter to society. So when women come in, we have this saying, we call them, when a married couple comes in, and we love married couples, we look at whether or not they have a subversive wife, because she still has connections to the outside world, right? She has girlfriends, she has coworkers, she has family members, and the whole time she's going to be concerned about whether or not those people approve of her family being involved. So if they do not approve, on the flip side, a man will be like, no, fuck you guys. This is what I do now. You know what I mean? And you guys are going to have to eat it and deal with it. And some women do that, but a lot of women do not. So instead of like raising their concerns and like talking to the clan or whatever, what they will do is slowly try to pull the guy away, get in his ear, like try to sabotage their involvement in the clan, right? Say he's coming in, he's like, I want to do this, I love this, blah, 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 blah. He's in this, you know, every time an event comes up, oh, well, we have to go to my mother's. Oh, well, we have to do this. Oh, well, we have to do that. Oh, well, we can't do it because you have to do this. Or, oh, we can't make it because we have too many projects. Or there's like more things are coming up and sabotaging it, right? And then eventually they walk away because dude doesn't want to. He's like, fuck, I can't, you know, she's not going to let us do this. You know what I mean? So several times what has happened is dude will be like, guys, I feel so bad. He doesn't even realize that's what she's doing. And you can't say that to him because that's his wife. You know what I mean? You can't be like, dude, your wife is subversive. You can't say that to him. Right? But he doesn't realize it. He doesn't see it. So he's like, guys, I feel so bad. You know, I just don't have the time to commit to you guys. You know, I feel so bad, like you guys are so cool or whatever, and I just never show up. And you know, and then he just what is it saying? Havamal, you have to travel to your friend's house often, or weeds will grow on the path. And that's what happens. Weeds grow on the path, and eventually people drift off. So that's something you have to deal with. One thing is that, and I'll be honest with you, I have no solution for the subversive wife. The subversive wife, is like pretty like undefeated. The subversive wife, when a subversive wife wants to not deal, and she will never tell you. She will never come in and say, "Oh, I have these concerns. I feel a little weird about this. I don't know if I believe this." You know, she'll never raise that. She'll never say that. She'll go along with it, and then behind the scenes do something else. Say one thing and do another, right? Which is the typical. And I'm not beating up on all women, dude. There are women that come in and they fall in love with it. And they're like, oh, yeah. And sometimes the women are the driving force and they drag their husband along until he gets. But for some reason, husbands, if they're not feeling it or whatever, they come and then they eventually warm up. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, we are in an enclave within society with views that run counter to society. So it's like you come in, it's like, well, these people are a cult. And you know what? We kind of are a cult. And, you know, I don't say that, but it's like they go, oh, this is a cult. And it's like, I'm like, no, this isn't a cult. We're just a religion. And then I have this. But at the end of the truth of the matter is we are a cult and cults are a good thing. You know what I mean? Cults are based and awesome. And we need more cults. But you can't say that. Right, because the universalism of Christianity has imposed upon people's minds, and the universal machine of liberalism as well is that to have enclaves and to have cults and to have things that are not bending a knee to the monoculture are a bad thing and creepy and lead to weird sex stuff and blah, blah. When in actuality, zero weird sex stuff happens with us, and weird sex stuff happens all in society. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know how to do that. But one thing that is crucial for bringing in women is to have things that women like and to have a sisterhood. You have to ensure that the women have their own space. They can do their own women things and they can organize and they build friendships. If you just have a bunch of dudes and then the wives just kind of like stay at their sides and never make friends with the other wives, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. The women have to make friends among themselves and get close and all of this kind of shit. Right. So that's the way that it is. It's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to figure out. And it's not easy. Once you grow beyond like bro squad territory and you go into a network of families, it becomes more complicated. If you are the leader, you find that you play therapist and negotiator and stuff more than you do anything else, which is fine. It's the way that it is, right? And it's just the way that it is. You know what I mean?
I think that's the traditional role of the leader, though, as well. He's as much a counselor to his own people as he is a leader of them, like, you know, calling the shots or making the plans and everything like that. You know, he's there also to counsel them. But, you know, I would also guess anyway that once it does grow beyond, you know, your 5 best bros or whatever, and you get girlfriends in the mix and you get kids in the mix and then, you know, families, and it starts to become a bona fide little unit, little bona fide clan, that there is a place for women, right? There's a space for them to have their own, as you say, sisterhood. You know, it's not just about getting together and doing bro stuff, that there is, you know, a space for them to sort of like have their own like female space. And for the kids, and, you know, when it's just a bunch of guys getting together and one family, you know, one couple or whatever, they have kids and the kids come along to the parties and the meetings and the bloats and everything like that. You know, I can imagine at first that'd be a little weird, because weird for everybody, because now there's some kids around and you kind of got to watch your mouth a little bit, and it's not the same, but it's cool. But it's a little bit different, right? But it's like when you start to have like, okay, well, you know, one couple has some kids and then, another couple has a kid, and now there's a kind of little community and of children, and then maybe some babysitting. That's always useful. Anybody who's a parent understands this, right? That it starts to become a thing, right? It starts to really, I would imagine, and, you know, Dave can confirm or disconfirm, that at that point, that's probably when it starts to really pay dividends. Like, it probably gets hard and more complicated, and you have to deal with a bunch of shit and interpersonal stuff and everything. But at the same time, that's when the real benefits of having this extended family come around, right? Is when it really starts to become that extended family. Does that ring true at all, Dave? It sounds true to me, and I expect. But what would you say?
Absolutely. Once you have, especially when you have kids, dude, my kids and my kinsman's kids are like best friends. They are cousins. They are literally cousins. They are closer to each other than their own blood cousins. I'm Uncle Dave. My one kinsman is, they're uncles and aunts. We're uncles and aunts to all these kids. And we're a family. Dude, when we were at FSH, there were people that were asking whether or not my kinsmen were actually my blood family. We don't look alike at all, right? We don't, first, the one guy is like 5'6" and blonde and has a completely different face. I'm 6'2" and I have curly hair. The other guy's bald and has dark features. Not like whatever, but he's got brown eyes and dark brown hair and lots of tattoos, and we don't look alike. But for some reason, people are like, "Are you guys actually related?" Actually, because of how close we are, it just looks like we're related. You know what I mean? And that happens over we're beyond best friends. We're family. We are a family, and our kids are going to grow up together, and they're probably going to get married. You know what I mean? It's all love. It's all love. And what happens once you start branching out and you successfully get multiple families in, you start, not only do you get dividends in, you now have a lot of manpower that can get things done. I can be like, this is what we're doing. You do this, you do this, you do this. And then bam, we can put something together. Not only can we orchestrate things because we have the manpower, we also look out for each other, right? This guy needs a job. This guy lost his job. Yo, I got a job opening up for you here. Oh man, I need some place to crash for a few days while I do this. I got you. Come crash here. Man, my fucking car broke down and it's in the shop. Here, I got an extra car. Borrow my car for a week. Whatever, everything. You know what I mean? We can provide for ourselves. Dude, we're always exchanging gifts. Here's another thing I will say: do not feel bad about selecting kinsmen that have skills and talents. You want people that are smart and talented, right? My one kinsman is like he brews mead. He is a welder and a mechanic. He makes all kinds of knickknacks. He's a mushroom forager. So this guy's always, every event, he pulls up with big bags of, reishi mushrooms and these kinds of mushrooms and bottles of mead and all kinds of stuff. My other kinsman dude, it's just, we got each other covered. Right? My other kinsman, he does like some graphic design stuff on the side. So, I do what I do. So guys are like, yo, I need help with this. I got this idea. I got this thing I'm doing. And we just knock it out and we make it happen. So it's like we're actually talking about going into business together. So we're going to have a kindred business that does a lot of stuff. So, we got to, it's
Dave Martell Inc.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. So it's good stuff. Once you get to that point, and also it's wonderful to have women in the thing, because you can like call them up and ask them to babysit. So you can go do things. You know what I mean?
That is such a huge thing. Sorry, I don't want to step on your toes here, but I just want to underscore how fucking important that is for anybody that doesn't have kids yet but wants to, is having this network of support, whether you're in a clan or not, that you need to have that, or else life is going to be so fucking hard. If you're isolated, you don't have friends that can babysit, because dude, you've got this little person that needs care, and they need care 24/7 for years. You're not going to have a break unless you have someone that will help you and give you that break. If you got parents around, great. They're probably quite a bit older, because most of us, for generations, people didn't have kids in later life. The grandmas and grandpas are probably busy. They're tired. They're old. You need some friends that are going to help you out with that shit, right? So yeah, that absolutely makes sense. That that I cannot underscore enough how important it is to have women who will help babysit your kids. It's just so crucial.
Absolutely, big time, big time, especially with little babies, infants. dude, women know how to take care of infants. It's just in them. We have to learn as men. We have to learn. The first time I held my newborn son, I was scared as fuck. I was like, whatever. Women, they just know. You need to have women around. You got to have them. You know what I mean? Also, here's another thing about having women around is that women, they see details, right? So they'll be like, yo, did you forget this? You got this, you got that, blah, blah, blah. Women there's not a better facilitator to anything than having having the hen house, the wife network. Dude, the wife network will fucking, that's the shit right there.
Wife net.
To have wife net is, dude, I throw a party, I'll forget condiments, especially me because I'm so forgetful. But I'll forget condiments, I'll forget silverware, I'll forget plates, I'll forget this, I'll forget that. And the wife net will be like, no, we got it. We remembered. They remembered it. They remembered this. They remember that. They remember things. They see details. They are so important. They are so important. And also they are, they're just important to have around. And here's the thing. And I said this in a chat yesterday, is that there's a lot of emphasis on building brotherhood because masculinity is under attack. And that's legit. It's fully under attack. But in the wake of the destruction of brotherhood was the destruction of sisterhood. And they've created this gay, shitty, everybody space where nobody is comfortable. And women have lost their comfort space. Dude, in the Middle Ages, women were, they were the ones, they did weaving together. They made clothes together. They sang songs. They taught the kids songs, and they did that stuff. And in modern times, that translates to some different stuff. But it's important to have wife net. You got to have wife net. You can't just have a sausage party forever.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And having women around just gives it a different vibe. Like not a sexual thing at all, but it's like they just know how to make things nice. You know what I mean? It's like we as guys, like what you're saying before about decorations or whatever. It's like they know how to put those little touches on things to make it aesthetic and nice and homey and lived in and comfortable, and just in a way that dudes don't. You see a bachelor pad, you know what that looks like. It's imagine that scaled up to the level of a mannerbund. Well, this is why you need women. This is just one of the reasons, right?
When me and my wife first got together and she came to my apartment, she goes, it doesn't even look like anybody lives here. I didn't have any clothes.
Dave sitting around with a folding chair, a TV on top of a 3-legged stool or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one love seat. I had a TV that was sitting on a coffee table. And all my clothes, I would just half-ass fold them and put them in a box on the floor. And my dirty clothes, I would just throw them in a pile in the spare room. And I had my dress clothes hanging up, and that was it. And then no other clothes hangers. I just stored my guitars and shit in there. She's like, yeah. What is it? She goes, you're like feral. She's
why don't ready you to move at any point, at any time. Yeah, pack it up in 15 minutes.
Yeah, she's like, why don't you put your dishes in the cupboard? I had 4 plates that I would just sometimes wash. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would use them, and if they were in the sink and they weren't clean, I'd be I'll just fucking eat over the sink. Yeah. I'd have pizza boxes stacked up that would just turn into furniture.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what we do. It's such a bro thing to do that. We're not really especially as young men. Now that I'm older, I now have an eye for aesthetics and these kinds of things. But my wife taught it to me, and when you first get together with your wife, it's she's fucking changing everything. That's changing everything that I do, how I do things. And she does. She's not going to be happy unless you let her do it. But let me tell you, her system is better. It is better than your system sucks. Her system is better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's there's a kind of vibrancy, to use a kind of gay term or whatever. There is a kind of like, there's a lived inness. There's a hominess. There's a kind of a comfort zone or whatever that is just hard to establish unless women are there. And again, it's nothing sexual or whatever. It's just the differences between the sexes. And I think that this, obviously you need some, a considerable amount of homogeneity within your clan. You're not going to have like people from completely different walks of life, different races, different whatever. You need people who are fundamentally the same or whatever, but there is some amount of personality difference that it's nice to have in your family and your extended family and everything like that. Because, if I had to live with, if I had to get together with 20 people like me, I don't think that would really, fly too far. You know what I mean? And of course, having women there it's having that difference, having that variety of personality traits and everything like that. It's super important. So, yeah. So, anything else that you would say as far as like how to get started or, tips for how to get the thing sort of like from the beginning to the sort of intermediate phase, or like anything else that you think that we should cover that we haven't yet?
Visual identity. Visual identity is absolutely huge. For a long time, we didn't, like when we were first getting started, I don't know. We kind of had a few incarnations of our kindred before we sort of figured out who we were. And we had a revolving door of members, but because we were young, we were just like figuring out how to do this. You know what I mean? We knew that we had belief. We knew that this is what we wanted to do, but we've come a long way. And one thing that I noticed that really upped our game and really made things come together more is to have a visual identity. That is having a banner, having a symbol, having colors that are associated with who we are, having designs, having things that are aesthetically unifying. And for us, we are, first you mentioned about being of the same ilk. You can't even begin our process of novitiate. You're not allowed in this kindred unless you have demonstrable Pennsylvania Dutch ancestry. Yeah. So if you number one, you have to be born in Pennsylvania, and number two, you have to have demonstrable Pennsylvania Dutch ancestry. You need to have a Pennsylvania Dutch last name. You have to look kind of Pennsylvania Dutch. You have to, we're not going to do a DNA test on you, but I'm going to get to know you. I want to know what your grandparents' names were. We do run a background check, right? We do run a background check. We don't accept people that have all kinds of felonies and weird stuff. I'm sorry, that's just the way that it is. Those are the rules. But visual identity is huge. So once we started to say these colors represent us, us being from Pennsylvania, we use the Pennsylvania flag. The main colors are blue and gold. So that is our those are our colors, right? So our colors are blue and gold. We have our symbols are the distelfink, which is Pennsylvania Dutch. It means thistlefink. It is a goldfinch. It's a Pennsylvania Dutch symbol for like prosperity and luck. Like hearts and flowers and like these kinds of things are associated with our symbolism because they're from PA Dutch hex signs. We have like a bunch of different little symbols that are associated with who we are. So if you go to an event and you see those symbols, you will be like, these are my boys. These are my boys. These are my boys.
A bit of pride.
People. Yeah. And also people that are not from there or not part of us will be like, those are Dave's boys. Like they associate it like this is those people. This is who they are, right? We're very recognizable by our colors. And let me tell you, when you go to ritual, you go to bloat, and you show up to events, and everybody's got that garb on, or they're wearing those colors, and we got the flag and everything. It's something to be proud of. It's a flex. It's a visual identity, and that is part of it. A visual identity. You need to have a shared language identity. And we talked about that. Inside jokes, little languages, prayers that everybody has memorized. Being able to sing them together. That's a big thing. Singing together. Sing songs together. Music that we all like, right? You're eventually going to find like a couple of genres or bands or types of music or whatever that you guys all vibe with. You just want to find aesthetic things that are beyond ideas, that are beyond things that are pre-rational aesthetic things that are shared. And through this, you know, dude, for example, one of the things that my clan we've all fallen in love together with is like stoner rock and doom metal. There was my one boy was hanging out with some of the guys that he was like talking to at the thing, and they're listening to I can't remember what he said they were listening to. They're listening to a band that we all like, and he's like, "Oh man, what are you with Dave's clan?" And he's like, "Yeah, I am." He just knew that because he's listening to this like type of music that I like that, and that my people like that. So and I know that's a very small thing, but these are the types of things that build unity. These are the types of things that build that folk build. So in conclusion, to folk build, throw good party, elevate your parties, have good food, good drink, good music, good vibes, good aesthetics. With aesthetics, you want to have unifying visual and audible pre-rational, not ideas, not abstractions, not this is our philosophy. You got to have that too, but you got to have those visual indicators that show togetherness, and in togetherness comes power. You also have to have unifying philosophies, and you got to have, these are our rules. This is what we believe. This is who we are. This is what you need. These are the bars you need to meet to become part of us. You got to have that. You got to have a good leader, dude. If you're listening to this and you want to do this and you're like, I don't know if I'm a good leader or whatever, just take the surrogate, be like the intermittent. Is that the right word? Not intermittent.
Be the midwife that makes it happen.
No. I don't know about the midwife, but be like the middle stone until you find a guy that you really believe will be a good leader, and then you facilitate for him, right? A good leader. You got to have women around that have their own sisterhood. You got to have your brotherhood. You got to have belief. You got to have faith. And then, dude, make it happen. And then after that, it's hustle, it's work, it's dedication, and it's loyalty. This is not something you can walk away from. This is not something that you take a break from. This is not something you can flake. And anybody that is a flake, kick them the fuck out. Get rid of flakes. You don't want flakes. You want guys that go hard. You want guys that show their loyalty, show their love, show up, get their hands dirty, and are really about it. Fuck flakes. Death to flakes. Period. Right? It's not something you could just like throw in the trash. It's not disposable. It's not a vacation. It becomes who you are, and you go hard and you give everything you got into it, and you will succeed. And if you don't go hard, if your heart's not in it, you will fail. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you guys, this might piss some people off. If this isn't what you're doing, then you're not really about this. You're not really about this, right? So, are you really truly about revolting against the modern world and building the golden age and like doing all the XYZ that we talk about? Are you really fucking about that? Well, then fucking start folk building, because this other stuff is just a hobby. Until your hands are dirty, until you got boots on ground, until you got a clan, you're just a hobbyist. Sorry, it's true. And I know that there's people out there that live in far remote places and et cetera, and it's harder. And there is a place for people that just do fulfill functions or whatever. But if you're just the kind of guy that's just like, just like watching content and then you go live a double life and you go to your job and pretend to be a normal person. And then in the darkness, you fucking go home and you're in your secret place or whatever. Like, dude, my heart goes out to you. I understand why that's a situation. You need to fucking go beyond that, because if you're not, then you're not really about this. And we need people that are about this.
Yeah, that's the starting point, right? And I think the lesson here is that the propositional aspect of it, the belief aspect of it, so like the ideological aspect of it is a kind of launching pad into something else, into something deeper. Yes, that's where it starts. Your bro clan of 5 guys or whatever is going to start out with people who believe the same shit as you, and is going to end up with people who share the same blood as you generations down the line. You know, it starts from the belief, and it moves towards the pre-rational stuff, the visual stuff, as Dave was saying, the aesthetic stuff, the pre-propositional things, and it moves towards, over time, a togetherness of people who cannot be separated, right? And this is the whole thing, is that our ideology fundamentally, like, you know, nationalism as an ideology is a kind of, like I mentioned before, it's like a training wheels that essentially disabuses you of ideology, right? It abuses you of these things. It's like a kind of Wittgenstein's ladder, where he says, everything I've said in this book, he's talking about his Tractatus, everything I've said in this book is just a ladder. And once you climb up the ladder, you throw the ladder away, right? This is what ideology fundamentally is. It's there to get you towards practice. And if it's not getting you towards practice, it's not true. It's a proposition that's completely false. So that's where things are leading us. A deep and abiding and penetrating understanding of nationalism fundamentally gets you away from the ism part, right? And the ideological aspect of it, the anti-individualist aspect of it, tells you that people are not the building blocks of society, right? It's not individuals that make up society. People are not the trees to the forest of society. That metaphor fails. The people are the limbs of society, right? Metaphysically, the individual comes after the society, not before. People are derivative of their society, not the other way around. We're embedded in society. We are all an outgrowth and a result of our sociality, of our collectivity, of our clanhood, of our peoplehood. We are not a building block. Man and society are congenital. They're joined at the hip, inseparable, right? And that is what folk building is all about. It's about getting yourself to where you and your clan move as one unit. You are one thing. You are a part of something. You are not the ground and building block of something. And this is the basic idea behind the famous story. It's attributed to Genghis Khan, but I believe it goes back to Herodotus, where the king, I think it was Scalurus, on his deathbed, said to his sons, he handed them each a bundle of arrows and said, I want you to try and break this bundle of arrows together. They obviously couldn't. And the lesson there, the object lesson, is united we stand, divided we fall. The family, the clan, the tribe, the nation is like a body. That limb metaphor it's not just a metaphor. It's a literal reality for anything that is like true and real. It is like a body. If you cut it apart, it dies. And that's how you have to approach folkhood. And by folk building, this is how we get ourselves to that situation. We have been denied our heritage over thousands of years. It has been taken away from us cruelly. You know, all the problems that we have in modern society are the result of not living in extended families. It's going to take grit and toughness, and you're going to have to perpetuate, right? You're going to have to stick to it, and through thick and thin, make it happen. Because when you do, it's going to do away with all this all this bullshit that society foists upon us. And this is what we have to do. There really is no other path to victory as far as I'm concerned. So that's why I talk about it so often. That's why Dave talks about it. I think that this is really the only thing. Everything else is a means to that end. So hopefully this episode has been enjoyable to folks. Hopefully there's been some good practical advice that you can take away from this. And, it's time to get started. So there you go.
Yeah. And just in closing, I would say nationalism is just a way to teach you how to be part of a nation, right? And then once you are part of a nation, you don't need the ism anymore. It's just a way to fix your brain. That's it. It's a way to teach you how to rediscover how to be have a native worldview and to be part of a nation. And, we as, in the Folkish community are a nation. That's at the end of the day, that's who we are. And think about it like this. Who in the world, who are the true cores of power? Who are the most powerful groups, right? And these are nations of people, and these are nations of people that have religion in their at the core of their identity, right? The Indians, the Muslims, the Mormons, the Jews, like these are people that are very, very powerful organizations. The Catholic Church, right? They're not as powerful as they once were, but once upon a time they were, right? These groups had power because they had cultural unity and they had religion at their core, and politics was just a tool for them to use to gain power, right? We're about to get freaking taken over by Indians, like for real. They have taken over the West Coast. They've taken over Silicon Valley, and they're going to keep coming and coming because they're very natal people. They have, how many Indians are there in the world? Billions. Fucking most of them are Hindus, right? Most of them are Hindus, and you could go to a Hindu temple and see all kinds of Indians, and they'll have all these like different kinds of politics and all this crap. But at the end of the day, they're Hindus, and their nation is of Indian to be Indian, and they want to take over and gain power for Hinduism, right? Same thing for all of these other groups. Name a political ideology that even stands in the same room as these religions and these ethno-religious groups.
Even wokeness can't stand up to it. Like the Hindu nationalism is a perfect example. And this is why we talk about this. This is why we keep harping on this. This is the only way to defeat this beast, right? Hindu nationalism is the only nationalism that has been able to hold its own against Islam in its own backyard. They even stood up to Facebook. A couple of years ago, Facebook tried to ban hate speech in India. Then the Hindu nationalists stand up and said, "Nuh-uh, we're going to be racist as fuck." And guess what happened? Facebook backed the fuck down. Why? Because it feared for the safety of its staff. That is the power of the clan. That is the power of the tribal identity right there. That is, if it's all about politics, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be, it's got to be about more than that. But if that's what it's about for you, then the means to achieve these politics is the tribe. But you're going to find when you get into it that the tribe is not a mere means to an end, but it is the means to a particular end if that end is solving the problems of modernity. So one way or another, whether you're a political guy, whether you're a religious guy, the tribe is the path forward. I can't stress that enough. And it's becoming increasingly hard for me to even understand people who don't see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm just gonna keep pushing that and pushing that and pushing that until we fucking win, because we will if that's what we do.
Hell yeah. All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hails and blessings to each and every one of you. I hope this was an informative, good episode. I just want to reiterate, I'm speaking as a man of my faith. If you are a Christian and you're tuning in, I'm not beating up on you. I'm not talking bad on you. Take what you can from what we talked about here, if it's useful for you, and do it your own way. I'm not against you. We're not enemies. It's just, I'm just speaking from the heart as a guy and from who I am, right? And I know you guys understand. But anyway, hails and blessings to each and every one of you guys tuning in here to Culture Dad's Age of Sword Cassette. If you're not signed up already, make sure to go over to imperiumpress.org/podcast and go get signed up to the Gumroad and get all kinds of great perks such as hardback books. So much great stuff over there. Also, Culture Dads every single week. You can't beat it. So go get signed up over there and help support Imperium Press so they may blossom into the institution that they were destined to become, so they may save the Western canon from those who wish to erase it. If you want to check out what I'm doing, go over to thebizarchives.com and buy books. Follow us on Twitter and Telegram at thebizarchives. And guys, get ready. Hearthfire Radio is nigh. Coming very soon. I'll see you guys next time.